So that there was match 4. Coming up, match 5, as the schedule says, is Socket Close versus the winner of match 1. Now, Eve University, in classic Eve University fashion, are both winners and losers of match 1. So they're pretty much guaranteed to be going forward. Is that collusion? Can we call that collusion?
We might be able to call that collusion.
Something we can keep the prizes.
Putting your best foot forward. Although, because we were able to have 12 teams, we did decide that anybody fielding 2 teams, like this last match, would have to face each other in match 1. So they're allowed to put their best foot forward, but they're not both allowed to go to the winner's bracket.
Bob Shaftos would be turning in his grave. So we saw a bit of a different fight in the first fight, I believe, with the EVU teams. One of them were the kiting teams. Previously, the last 2 fights we've watched have been quite brawly, and it would be interesting to see maybe a brawl team face off against a kiting team. And if I recall correctly,
the first one was a bit of a kite versus kite, and then we had a bit of a brawl versus brawl, and another brawl versus brawl. So it'll be interesting to finally see if we can get an arty or missile team to fight more of a brawly team. I'm sure it'll happen sooner or later.
Well, chances do dictate. After this, of course, we will have ACS versus the winner of the second match, which by default was Make Amara Great Again. I do believe you said they're going to build a wall around High Sec and make the Pirates pay for it. There's a strong strategy.
I wasn't really paying attention. It was kind of a loud banter in the room, so it was something about making things great. I tend not to pay attention to those types of people.
And then immediately after that, we will have Rote Canadia versus the winner of match 3, which was Coop Boys, I believe. Well, I want to just thank the Laserhawks teams there for attempting to get us back on schedule with their rapid dismantling of each other. That was some speed.
I know. We kind of thought that there might be a chance for that Logi to pull it out and just.
I know. I had high hopes for that Logi.
The shield team, but then the DPS output. I kind of think it might be part of the target calling that they went for that Cyclone straight away, when maybe they should have tried to take care of a Caracal or Moa first. Caracal's not at 0, but also.
I mean, those Moas did come in at 0 though, and yes, a Moa is not going to tank as much as a Cyclone. No way. But it is going to do an appreciable percentage of the DPS of a Cyclone, so probably would have gone for those 2 Moas first and get them off the field.
It's a tough choice, and I don't know that they had one because everybody was down there at 0. They might not even have a choice.
And of course, you do have to consider that the Cyclone did have boosts. He had links, so you remove him, you make the rest of the team easier to kill. So do you leave him and go for the rest of them while under full boosts, or do you go for the Cyclone? It is a decision you have to make, and it's a decision the captains can look at this and not really know which way is the right answer. And maybe neither is right, maybe both are wrong. But at the end of the day, someone has to make that decision, and it's a difficult one.
Absolutely. And that's what a lot of this comes down to, and that's what we really wanted to see today was we wanted to see it come down to the decisions and the comps that were brought, and not down to the mind game and the meta and the restrictions so much. So it's interesting to see at least a couple matches so far kind of playing out that way. People bringing in some more all-in setups and some interesting stuff, as well as some more traditional. One of the first setups we saw was 2 Orthruses and 2 Caracals, so that's more of a traditional setup versus some of these a little bit off the wall, kind of shield tanking Brutix. That's interesting to still fit tackle, but manage to get your shield in there. And even dual tanking armor and shield in the same comp.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, dual tanking isn't really so bad if you just forgo logic completely. Then you want to take the ships that will do the best for the points that you can get. And if it happens to be a shield ship and the rest of your ships are armor, then you're going to take that shield ship. I mean, you don't really care if it's shield or armor if you're not bringing any logic in the slightest. The only
Absolutely,
time
and
that
that's
maybe it becomes relevant is if you're bringing boosts. Then you're going to have to
right.
start mixing boosts, or just forgo tanking boosts and go for utility boosts.
Exactly. So that's also an interesting thing to see is what with the new systems is what boosts do you choose? Because when you can re-script them for a different hardware or a different type, what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose those utilities, the skirmish, or more of the information warfare or things like that? Or are you going to choose speed, or are you going to choose your tanking, more your traditional kind of almost guaranteed links by the meta?
Yeah, it is a difficult decision, especially as you said, you can rescript them, so you could bring a whole choice of scripts in the hold and see what your opponent's bringing, and then make a decision from the get-go as soon as
Right,
you
and
land.
there's even the difference now of having tanking scripts that increase raw HP versus just resist. So you could even choose that based on your logi or not logi and what your setup is bringing. And coming from lowsec, that's an interesting thing to talk about is where is the line drawn between having a guaranteed fleet with logi and links and a unified tank and DPS and all of that, all those trappings of a more traditional fleet. Versus your micro gang or your small gang or even your solo type setups, fittings or ships even.
So we do have the arena almost clear. I do believe the next two teams are ready. So once the arena has been cleared, CCP have this nice and easy, they just push a button and it all clears. And of course the smugglers over at EVNT now have that button as well. Whereas we're sitting here shitting drones for your viewing pleasure. Okay, so
As
team's
a
now
Tristan
jumping.
pilot, it's definitely hard to shoot drones sometimes. I cry every time a gecko dies.
Of course, with a drone heavy comp there was many drones to be killed to clear the arena back up. Team's now jumping into local and getting ready to warp into the arena.
And we should have teams arriving on grid in the next couple of minutes. So this one is going to be socket closed versus Eve University. Should be interesting to see what they bring.
Yeah, for sure. I'm holding out for EV to bring some sort of kiting team again. Use those elite tactics. Feathering and the likes. Chester would love it. Okay, so
And
I
it
see a
looks like
first team
Ivy
landing.
League is landing on team. We see.
This looks like it could be a kiting team.
Maybe, just maybe. Osprey Navy, Talwar Kirwis, Osprey Navy, and a Caracal landing on grid for Eve University. And we should see socket closed arriving any minute now.
Now, based on the dread that you get when a little message pops up on your screen that says socket closed when you're in the middle of doing something like maybe moving a jump freighter around, or you're in the middle of a fight, or something big's happening, and then you get a little socket closed error. I think I'm probably just on principle going to have to go for Ivy League here.
Although it might be tongue-in-cheek referring to the Alliance tournament this year and hoping that they don't get a DC in the middle of the match.
True.
They might just be vying for luck, saying that our socket has already been closed. Or maybe it's a sign of the mental state of their FC or team captain. We'll see when they get on grid.
So this is a team that really does not want to be tackled right here. This is a team that wants to fly around at maximum range, just doing their thing,
Right,
putting DPS down.
Very easily be a pure rapid light and light missile setup, and then the damps or the defensive scram even from the Kiris.
Yeah, you could quite easily field both. You really only need one defensive scram if you're clever about it, and then just bring damps for the rest. Now, if the other side bring an equivalent setup, this could be a long 10 minutes.
Well, we did see Eve Uni bring the same setup in round 1 versus themselves, and it did handily destroy another kiting team. The Osprey Navies were fit with both tackle and shield tank, but were able to take care of a pair of Orthruses even.
Orthrus, of course, Reload likes to refer to them as the Balanced Legion. They are great for just roaming around nullsec, and pretty strong in some tournament as well. That long scram is just really, really nice in an environment like this when you are trying to catch a kiting team. Be able to just zip in and scram from a significant distance away, and then just send your heavy ships in on top of them. That could be strong. So we are just waiting for a socket closed to land. There is a chance that they have had a socket closed and aren't coming.
They might have.
So going over to the Twitch chat, then we have Eve Uni versus Socket Closed. Without even seeing the Socket Closed team, oh, they are arriving. Ooh, this is an interesting setup that we're seeing. Although
Now
it does look like they've warped in at the wrong side. Is that correct?
Yes, it looks like the teams are on top of each other, even though they're both meant to warp at range.
So from the Socket Closed side, we have a Gila, Griffin, Worm. So drones, basically. So who do we think? Eve Uni with rapid lights or Socket Closed with drones?
So you can easily rocket and rapid light fit the Gilas and Worms, but it is going to be a chance of who's going to tackle who, and the Gila and Worm also really well known for their tank, their local passive tank. So it's going to be interesting to see.
The Osprey Navy as well, not too shabby with this local tank.
True,
Quite
the
easily
Osprey
brawl
Navy
with that.
can easily tank, but they also were brawling before because they had it looks like scrams and maybe even a web versus those Orthruses earlier.
So we aren't going to see Brawl versus Kite. We are seeing Kite versus Kite. And we have the Socket Closed team landing at the correct side of the arena now. Both teams now 100 kilometers from each other, eyeing each other down from the other side of the arena. We're going to see a bit of time as both teams sort of skirt around trying to position themselves without getting caught. This could be a couple of minutes of nothing with teams dancing around, and then suddenly someone gets tackled, and then both teams rush in, and we have a bloodbath.
But we could very well, because they're all rapid light fit, we could very well see either some missile guidance playing in, or even just a bloodbath because of no Logi, with nobody getting tackled. They could be just trying to play range and stay right at optimals. We could very well see some boundary violations as
We
well.
could. I mean, those Gilas, perhaps they could be dropping sentries, and with 100 kilometers to close, I mean, that's at least 60 kilometers really before you're going to be into hitting with most of your rapid lights there. So that's significant amount of damage you could be putting down on the other team from range with sentries. Now, I know it is only Tech 1 sentries, but they still hurt, especially when you don't have any logi.
Absolutely. Also important to note, I missed this on the first warp in, but the socket close team of Agony has brought in a Griffin as well, and that could swing the tide if they're not able to take care of this Griffin.
Yeah, the RN Jesus could win the game or lose the game. That Griffin could either be
Absolutely.
very, very useful, or it could be nothing. It just could miss all of its jams. You never know. I've heard some AT teams complaining because they have, with like a a battleship, they've been jammed by a single EC-300 drone left on the field.
Absolutely.
And the tears from the people that get jammed is just phenomenal. And as they say, whoever says
absolutely.
ECM is bad, you jam them first and you kill them last.
Kill them last.
Exactly. So the countdown is running. We have less than 30 seconds to go. So I'm liking the look of these Gilas, so I think I'm going to go for socket closed here.
You know, because of the Griffin, I kind of want to go there with you, but I wouldn't count out this Eve Uni team in the least. And the match has started.
Both teams, the Griffin is charging in, where
Which is interesting.
Yeah, in fact, the entire team from socket closing range. The other team, they started to close in a little bit, but now they are slowly turning around, realizing that socket close are charging at them, and perhaps maybe they don't want to be that close, so that they are slowly turning around.
Yeah, the Griffin's turning around. He's into armor now, but this worm's still charging in heavy. Hasu Lee in the Agony Worm. Looks like he might have caught his first target.
Yeah, and we're seeing a bunch of damage starting to be applied to one of the caracals from
one of the caracals appears to be caught.
Split damage on the socket close team. Both worms now taking damage, with one of them in very low structure, and he is gone. The second worm, he is about half shields. He's still quite happy. He is... I can't see if he's tackled, but he is right in there with the rest of them. And he is now low shield, gone.
Worm, but that worm has also just disappeared before this caracal goes down.
So that is two worms traded for a caracal.
Is that a good trade? That trade. I don't know if I would. If this Griffin's not able to start jamming targets,
yeah, but if you let's say you
like this might be over for socket.
If you manage to jam with that Griffin just once and then maybe trade again, then this could be. It's not the end of the game for socket close really. They've still got a lot of DPS on the field.
But
they've lost a lot of their tackle.
This next trade is going to be probably the most important one, because if their tackle is gone, I don't know that they can. And there goes the Griffin. It looks like if they're able to take care of a Gila without losing anything, this is over. And it looks like
for sure.
It looks like the Gila is caught, or is he catching? Oh, the tower of Buddha in the Eve Uni team is caught, but a tower not, although it's something, is not the end of the world. That's not much DPS. It's a little bit of tank and some tackle, but.
So we're seeing ECM drones being used on damage drones here. So Eve Uni trying to jam the damage drones from the Gilas by the looks of it.
That is a really smart move against Gilas, because even though they do the damage of multiple drones, because you only have two of them, one ship with a couple EC drones like a Caracal or Osprey Navy could easily jam out most of a Gila's DPS.
And of course, Gila drones are very hard to kill with that hit point bonus as well. So by simply removing them with jams, then you're just defanging the Gilas. Although we haven't seen much DPS being applied to anyone for the last little while. Both teams sort of kiting around a little bit.
The Osprey Navies are paired up as well as, and the Gilas are paired up as well. Actually, one of the Gilas stopping, it looks like, but not tackled. One Gila is chasing after the Osprey navies, who are paired up and running away.
I think he might be stopping to try and shed off some of these drones that are swarming him.
I think it looks like he pulled his drones, but now the EC drones are switching to his hull.
If that Carries has a scram, what he needs to be doing is just rushing in and doing some drive-by scrams of these Gilas to slow them down and allow the Osprey navies to just keep kiting away.
It looks like Revan in the Gila is doing some good manual piloting here. He's not just approaching Q approach. It looks like he's taking some manual piloting and trying to cut off this Osprey.
He is very close. It looks like he might, if he's got scram fitted, he might be able to just catch him, slow him down, and Gila does do pretty decent damage as well, even without its drones if they are jammed. And of course, he's just got endless amounts of drones. He can pull them and drop them and pull them and drop them.
Right. Very important drone management here. But then if he switches to the hull, he still has a good chance of jamming him out to get that just confusion and ability to get the scram off, even if this Gila has tackle. So the Gila that is chasing the Ospreys is into about a third shield, but NER Arnu and the Osprey Navy is already into armor, so it's not over for this socket closed team.
No, he is probably going to drop very, very shortly, and that's a solid kill right there, and it does keep the socket closed team in the match.
Absolutely.
If they'd been able to kill that Gila,
another Osprey, this might be swinging back the other way. And there he goes. There goes the Osprey Navy.
Now that second Gila is completely full shields, so you have one very, very low shield Gila against and a full shield Gila against an Osprey Navy that's now taking damage, and a Carries now to start helping his friend here. I don't know if there's anything he can do, but he needs to be doing something.
Silas appears to be trying to keep at range and mitigate the damage. He's still going down slowly, but if he's able to switch off with his other Gila friend and take care of this other Osprey, then that is game.
That is a good move. If he is able to just get out and the second Gila come in and hold that tackle, then there's no way that an Osprey Navy that is in low shield is able to take on a full shield Gila. Especially not with a second Gila drones helping him out from range.
But it looks like Cat Evergreen in the Osprey Navy is trying to circle back around and maybe apply some damage to this Gila that is low, because he knows that there's very interesting sparring going on now that they're down to a couple pilots each. Like we said before, it's coming down to a lot of just either manual piloting or smart moves when you get down to these few pilots, saying, okay, you go in, okay, my shields are low, now you need to go in there and take some of this damage off me and start applying to this other Osprey. It's going to be interesting to see, is this Osprey going to go down, or is it going to come down to points in the next couple of minutes?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been easy for Socket Closed to kind of get flustered when they were down to just those two Gilas and lose the match from there. But strong piloting from the remaining team.
Checking the clock, we still have 3 minutes left, and this Osprey Navy looks like he might go down first. He's going into armor, and Silas in the Gila has passively recharged at 25% shield now. So surprisingly, it's swinging right back in their favor. Never discount a Gila. Never discount two, for sure.
Yeah. So now, with that Osprey Navy just on the verge of blowing up now, it will just be the Carries remaining, and unless those two Gilas can catch it, I expect he'll either just head towards the boundary or kite around till the end of the match. Really isn't much that Carries can do now, except just survive long enough to get back into tell his friends to stop dying.
Right. It's always interesting to hear comms in these kinds of situations.
I know he is taking a lot of damage, so
he might just be saying, I can't win 100 points by myself, so good luck, have fun. And that's the match.
So let's go back to the studio.